Welcome to today's workshop by Visa Immigration Pro on optional practical training. My name is attorney Crystal Ikani Musa, and I am the owner and managing partner at Visa Immigration Pro. Today, you'll gain invaluable insights into OPT, whether you're a recent graduate, international student, or employer. This workshop is designed to provide a deep understanding of OPT regulations and strategies. So before we start, let's do some housekeeping. First of all, I'd like to share a disclaimer that this workshop is not intended to serve as legal advice and is only intended to provide information and inform you about the OPT program. Nothing shared today is expected to apply to your own unique circumstances, and Visa Immigration Pro has not been engaged to represent you. Please schedule a consultation with us if you would like to speak to a lawyer about your case. So for those of you who are not familiar with Visa Immigration Pro, Visa Immigration Pro offers global access to legal immigration advice and services. We specialize in immigration law and also business law. We hold virtual consultations so anyone around the world can have access to us. If you'd like to contact us, please feel free. You see our email at the bottom, our telephone number, our telephone numbers. We have a WhatsApp line as well. So let's get started. So today's agenda, what it's looking like, we're going to do an introduction to OPT, talk about the OPT application process, duration and employment, maintaining status, challenges and solutions, and employer perspective. So let's get started with the overview of OPT. So key features of OPT. The optional practical training is a program that allows eligible F1 international students in the United States to gain practical work experience directly related to their field of study. This temporary employment opportunity is designed to complement academic learning with hands-on experience, providing students with a chance to apply their knowledge in a real-world setting. So key features, one, you have to be eligible. So in order to have OPT, you first have to be an F1 student who has completed at least one academic year in a degree program at a U.S. Student and Exchange Visitor Information System approved institution, SEVIS. Students may apply for pre-completion OPT before graduation or post-completion OPT, which is after graduation. The duration, the standard post-completion OPT provides up to 12 months of employment authorization. Certain STEM, which is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, degree holders may be eligible for a 24-month extension, totaling in 36 months of OPT. The application process, students must submit Form I-765, application for employment authorization, to the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, USCIS. The application should be filled with within certain time frames, and it includes a fee. For employment authorization, once you're approved, students, they receive this, and this allows them to work in the U.S. legally. Employment is permitted only after receiving your employment authorization with approved dates. So the types of employment that you can get, OPT allows you various types of employment, including internships, part-time or full-time work, and multiple employers. Employment should be directly related to the student's major field of study. So if you're studying engineering, your employment should also be something related to engineering. There are reporting requirements as well. Students on OPT are required to report changes in employment status, like your address or your contact information. If that changes, you need to quickly report that to your designated school official, the DSO, and update that information in your SEVIS system as well. There are questions about travel and reentry. If you travel outside of the US, that is allowed during OPT, but students must have a valid visa, an expired EAD card, and a Form I-120 with a DSO signature obtained within the last 6 months. So you need to be sure that you have an unexpired EAD card, and ensure that you get your DSO signature, your Form I-20, and then you'll be able to travel as well, ensuring that you have a valid visa. So there are challenges and considerations we need to think about. So students should be mindful of unemployment restrictions and comply with reporting requirements to maintain their F1 status. Understanding the transition from OPT to other visa categories of employment-based immigration options is essential for your long-term career planning as well. So we did discuss these as well. Okay, so let's talk about the OPT application process. So the OPT application process is a crucial step for F1 international students in the United States who wish to engage in temporary employment directly related to their field of study. So let's go over step by step the overview of the OPT application process. So as you see, the eligibility check, you need to ensure that your eligibility is maintained, that you maintain your F1 status and completed at least one academic year, which is 2 semesters, in a degree program at a U.S. Student and Exchange Visitor Information System approved institution, SEVIS. Timing, determine whether you will apply for pre-completion OPT, that's before your graduation, or post-completion OPT, after graduation. Post-completion OPT applications can be submitted up to 90 days before and 60 days after your program completion date. So next, you're going to request a new Form I-20. It's important for you to request this from your DSO, endorsing your OPT application. The DSO would also update your SEVIS record to reflect your OPT recommendation. So next, you're preparing your application materials. So you need to gather all your documents. This includes your Form I-765 application. That's your application for employment authorization, a copy of your Form I-20 with the OPT recommendation, copies of any previously issued employment authorization documents, EADs, if applicable, your passport style photos, meeting USCIS specifications, and your application fee. So it's important for you to check with USCIS to ensure that you have the most up-to-date application fee. Then you're going to complete your I-765. This is where you can contact Visa Immigration Pro for assistance in completing and submitting this form. We can fill out your form accurately. We'll provide all the necessary information, including your personal details, immigration status, and information about your academic history. Then you'll submit your application. So you will mail the completed Form I-765 supporting documents and the application fee to the appropriate USCIS lockbox facility. So you would check the USCIS website for the correct address and current filing fees. So this is where USCIS will begin their processing. So USCIS will process your application, which typically takes a few months. You can check the status of your application online using the USCIS case status tool. And once USCIS is done processing, you will receive a receipt notice. So they will receive your application and then they will send you a receipt notice. This notice includes your receipt number that you can use to track your case. So you will have a biometrics appointment next. If this is required, you would attend this appointment. Then after this, your employment authorization document. Once your OPT application is approved, USCIS issues you your EAD. This document serves as your legal authorization to work in the US. It will include the start and end dates of your authorized employment period. And so we don't want to forget, this is a step that everyone normally forgets, which is reporting and compliance. After you receive your EAD, you are authorized to work and you must report any changes in employment status, address, or contact information to your GSO and update your information in the SEVIS system as well. Visa Immigration Pro, we are experts in understanding the OPT application process and adhering to deadlines and requirements that are crucial for your successful OPT experience. We adhere to all USCIS guidelines and stay informed about any updates or changes to the OPT regulations. So it's important that we consider common pitfalls to avoid navigating the OPT process. So it needs careful attention to detail and adherence to specific guidelines. So here are some common pitfalls that you should try to avoid during the OPT process. So there's late application submission. One of the most common pitfalls is submitting your OPT application late. Ensure you apply within the recommended time frame. So post-completion OPT applications can be submitted up to 90 days before and 60 days after your program completion date. The next pitfall to avoid is incorrectly filling out your I-765. So it's important that you carefully fill out this form by providing accurate, complete information. There are common errors like misspelling, lack of signatures. All of this will delay your response from USCIS. Then having an expired I-20, you need to make sure that your form I-20 is endorsed by your DSO or OPT. Is not that it's not expired. And when you submit your application, USCIS will not accept applications with an expired form I-20. So you need to be sure that it's not expired. Incorrect application fees. You know, sometimes you hear that the application fee from a friend, they paid a certain amount. No, it's very important for you to go and check yourself online, verify the current filing fee on the USCIS website. So include this, include the correct amount with your application. Another common pitfall, improperly sized passport photos. We should always try to adhere to USCIS specifications. Then failure to notify DSO of changes. It's essential that you keep your DSO informed of any changes in your employment status, address, your contact information. Any failure to do this can lead to compliance issues that may impact your F1 status, and you don't want to do that. Then there's neglecting to attend your biometrics appointments. If it's required, you need to treat that as a priority. Don't forget. Not monitoring your application status. Once you've submitted your OPT application, regularly check the status online using the USCIS case status tool. This allows you to stay informed about the progress of your application. Being unaware of the unemployment rules. This is very important. You need to be aware of the OPT unemployment rules. While there is a grace period, accumulating excessive days of unemployment without proper authorization can impact your F1 status. So you need to be on top of that. And then failure to plan your travel. If you plan to travel outside of the US while you're on OPT, while your OPT application is pending or during your OPT period, ensure that you have the necessary documents, including a valid visa, an unexpired EAD, and a Form I-20 with a DSO signature obtained within the last 6 months. And last but not least, incomplete employment documentation. You need to keep detailed records of your employment, including job offers, pay stubs, and any other relevant documents. USCIS may request this information during the application process. It's Visa Immigration's Pro to ensure you avoid these pitfalls by handling the entire application process with precision and expertise from start to finish. The processing time for OPT applications by USCIS can vary. So processing times are typically in the range of 3 to 5 months, but these times are subject to change. But delays may occur if you don't follow some of these rules. And so different factors may also affect your application being reviewed, such as volume, policy changes as well, administrative issues. So while waiting for your OPT to be processed, what can you do? This is a question that we always get asked. This is time to check the current processing times. Monitor your case. It's important to regularly check the status of your OPT application so that you're provided with the updates immediately. Be patient and plan ahead. Recognize that USCIS processing times can vary. There may be periods of uncertainty. We recognize that, but plan your next steps accordingly and be patient throughout the process. Stay informed about travel restrictions as well. If you plan to travel outside of the US while your OPT application is pending, be aware of any travel restrictions and ensure that you have the necessary documentation and it's not expired. Get yourself prepared for your employment. Use this waiting period to prepare for potential employment opportunities. Update your resume, reach out to potential employers, attend career fairs, use your time wisely. Also use this time to understand the unemployment rules. I cannot stress this enough. You need to familiarize yourself with the OPT unemployment rules while you're having this grace period. You don't want to run into any issues, and it may affect your F1 status. You also want to stay in communication with your DSO, inform them about any changes during this time. Consider further education or training. This is the time that you can try to organize what your continuing your education may look like or any additional training you may need. And then participate in the OPT training programs. Some F1 students may be eligible to participate in certain optional training programs such as curricular practical training, CPT. This can be a time to explore those available options. So it's essential to stay informed and be proactive during the waiting period. So let's talk about the 12-month standard OPT period. So the OPT period provides F1 students with an initial 12 months of practical work experience in their field of study. This period is designed to allow students to apply their academic knowledge in real-world work. So eligibility, To qualify for the 12-month standard OPT, students must have completed at least one academic year in a degree program at a U.S. SEVIS approved institution. The application process, students can apply for standard OPT up to 90 days before and 60 days after the program completion date. Successful applicants receive their EAD, specifying the start and end dates of their authorized employment. So the 24-month STEM OPT extension criteria. This is an option for those who are majoring in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. These degree holders may be eligible for a 24-month extension beyond the standard 12-month OPT. So the extension is available for degrees included in the STEM designated degree program list. So the application process, to apply for the extension, you typically initiate the process during the 12-month standard OPT period. To be eligible, you must be currently on an approved 12-month standard OPT period. Eligible students must submit a timely application for the STEM OPT extension, including a completed Form I-765 and the required documents. The STEM extension provides an additional 24 months of work authorization. You apply 90 days before your current OPT expires and up to 60 days after your current OPT expires. So the training plan and employer requirements. Students and their employers must adhere to specific training plans and reporting requirements during the STEM extension period. So employers must be enrolled in the E-Verify program, and the training experience must be directly related to the STEM degree. So types of permissible employment for OPT, it includes internships, part-time and full-time employment, and self-employment as well. OPT allows flexibility in terms of employment types. Students can engage in internships, part-time, or full-time employment. The employment must be directly related to the student's major field of study. Multiple employers and job changes. We have to be considerate of this. OPT holders can work for multiple employers simultaneously or change employers during the authorized employment period. Reporting changes in employment to the DSO is essential for compliance. Now, self-employment and entrepreneurship, this is an option for your OPT. OPT regulations also permit this for you to be self-employed and engage in entrepreneurial activities. However, maintaining a proper reporting mechanism and compliance with immigration regulations is crucial. So what are your responsibilities during OPT? Maintaining OPT status requires a proactive approach and adherence to immigration regulations. So let's explore your responsibilities and what you need to take into consideration as well. So your key responsibilities during OPT includes employment authorization, your EAD. You need to always be in possession of a valid EAD. This is essential. You need to ensure that your EAD is up to date at all times and reflects the current employment information, your current employment information, okay? Then there's adherence to your employment dates. You need to work only within the dates specified on your EAD. Any employment beyond these dates without proper authorization can result in violation of your F1 status. Maintaining directly related employment. You need to engage in employment directly related to your major field of study. OPT is designed to provide practical experience in your academic discipline. Unemployment periods, which may happen, you need to be mindful of the allowed unemployment periods during your OPT period. Excessive unemployment may impact your F1 status. And there are travel considerations like we've been stating, but you need to be very considerate about your travel. Ensure you have valid documents, that all your documents are not expired, a valid passport, your F1 visa that's not expired, Form I-20 with a DSO signature within the last 6 months. It has to be within the last 6 months, and a valid EAD are all needed before you can travel properly. Travel during the OPT process outside of the US, it is allowed, but when your application is pending, there may be implications. So be sure before you're making any travel arrangements while you have a pending application that you're aware of what's required of you. Reentry and job searching. So be prepared to explain your OPT and job search activities to Customs and Border Protection if you're traveling upon your reentry. So they may question you, and you need to carry relevant documentation such as your job offer letter or evidence of job search efforts, okay? And last but not least, reporting requirements to the designated school official, your DSO. You need to let them know if your address changes. You need to report any changes in your residential address within the last 10 days of the change. You need to ensure that your SEVIS records remain accurate. If there are any employment changes, you need to notify your DSO promptly. If there are any changes in your employment, including a new job offer, changes in employer information, or periods of unemployment, let your DSO know. And then also SEVIS reporting. You need to make sure that you report everything in your SEVIS. This is very crucial. You need to ensure that your DSO is informed of any changes promptly to maintain your F1 status, okay? So there are potential issues that you may run into during OPT. And so we're going to discuss some strategies for handling unemployment periods and navigating changes in unemployment during your time in OPT. So strategies for handling unemployment periods. You need to first understand the rules. That's the first thing. Familiarize yourself with the regulations regarding unemployment during OPT. While there's a certain grace period, it's crucial to adhere to the rules to maintain your F1 status. Then you need to plan ahead. If you anticipate an upcoming period of unemployment, you need to plan ahead. Use your OPT period strategically by networking, attending job fairs, engage in skills development, volunteer work. Just plan ahead. So navigating your changes in employment, which may happen, you just need to ensure that you report this timely to your DSO. If you're experiencing changes in your employment status, sometimes you get a new job offer. Sometimes you change responsibilities, so your job description has changed. You also need to report that as well to your DSO. You need to understand the 90-day unemployment limit for STEM OPT. So for STEM OPT extension recipients, be aware of the 90-day cumulative limit on unemployment during the entire 36-month OPT period. So plan your employment transitions accordingly. Okay. Consult as well with career services if you are faced with challenges trying to secure employment. Your university can help. And always maintain communication with your employers about your status also. If you contemplate changing in your program of study, so now you're changing to a different major or a different field, consult with your DSO beforehand. They can provide guidance on how this can impact your OPT eligibility and what steps you need to take. Also consider the impact on your STEM OPT extension for those STEM field degree holders who want to change their program of study. If you are a STEM OPT extension candidate, changes in your program of study will impact your eligibility for the extension if you're changing outside of STEM. So you need to be aware of the STEM designated degree program list and how changes might affect your extension prospects. Then also plan for SEVIS updates. If there are changes in your program of study, your DSO will need to update your SEVIS record and ensure that this update is done promptly. So it's up to you to make sure that your DSO does this update and does it promptly, not to complicate your OPT. And last but not least, let's talk about from the employer perspective, employers who support OPT program students. It's important for you to understand your obligations and responsibilities, and will provide tips for successful collaboration between employers and OPT holders. So how can employers support OPT employees? Employers can support you by familiarizing themselves with the regulations surrounding OPT. This includes knowledge of the 12-month standard OPT period and the 24-month STEM OPT extension. Also, offering comprehensive on-the-job training ensures the OPT employee can contribute effectively to the workplace. So this training will align with their academic background and goals, so supporting them that way as well. Also encourage them as an employer, help them to participate in professional development, workshops, conferences, whatever it is, so that they can have a great OPT experience. Employer obligations when hiring OPT holders. Employers must enroll in the E-Verify program beforehand. So confirming the legal work authorization of employees. This is done by joining the E-Verify program. That's required of you. For STEM OPT extension, employers must comply with specific reporting requirements outlined by the USCIS. This includes submitting a training plan and reporting changes in the employee's status. And it's also important for employers to understand these expiration dates, have this in a file somewhere so that you are also aware. Also being mindful of the expiration dates of the EAD, employment authorization documents of your OPT holders. And then some tips for successful collaboration between employers and OPT holders. Communication is key. It's important that there's open and clear communication. Encourage OPT employees to communicate their goals, challenges, and any changes in their circumstance. Foster a workplace culture that embraces diversity and inclusion. This is very important. Be mindful of cultural differences and provide an inclusive environment where OPT employees feel valued offer opportunities for professional growth, and then provide guidance on potential career paths as well for them. So that's all we have for the workshop. I hope you did find it insightful. Thank you very much for tuning in.